Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be checking out the Curt Echo inline wireless trailer brake controller. Whenever you plan on pulling a trailer that has brakes, you're going to need a way to apply them. That way you can slow down everything as a whole unit and not just rely on your vehicle to do all the braking. And so when that situation occurs, that's where a brake controller like the Curt one here is going to come into play. So the way it's going to work, whenever you hit the brakes in your vehicle, it's going to send a signal back and apply the brakes on your trailer, helping to bring you to that safe and controlled stop. There are a ton of different brake controllers available, and this particular one's really unique. I think it's pretty cool, and personally I've yet to see one similar to it. But the way it's going to work is it's going to essentially just tee into your factory 7-way. So if your vehicle has a factory 7-way like this one, everything should work out. It's going to plug into the back of it and then plug directly into the brake controller, which stays mounted underneath the vehicle here. And then everything else is done using Bluetooth, so with your phone or your mobile device. And it's super cool. It literally takes no time to set up. Curt does have one kind of similar, if you will. In a sense, it's a Curt Echo, and it actually plugs in to the 7-way here. And then you would plug your trailer cable into it, and it works wirelessly as well. And that one's really cool. We've had a lot of good luck with it. It seems like a lot of people like it. But the thing is with that, you're going to be able to pull it out and keep it in your glove box or whatever. This one stays permanently attached. So if you do a lot more towing, this is probably a better option for you, because you're not going to have to deal with that every time. Or if you just don't really like the thought of having one extra thing or link, if you will, in between your trailer connector and your towing vehicle. I do just want to touch base real quick on what this is going to be compatible with. And as long as your vehicle has the 7-way type connector, chances are really, really good this is going to work. So it'll work with the US car style connector, which is just the standard round one. It's really common. Rarely do you come across other types of them. So if you have a factory one, you'll be in really good shape, like ours here today. Has a factory connector but no brake controller, so we're able to plug right into that, and now we're squared away. If you happen to have an aftermarket type 7-way connector, so a lot of vehicles, especially late model ones, will have just a connector plug in the back somewhere where the factory ran those wires but don't actually give you a trailer connector. So there's kits that you can plug right into those and end up with a 7-way. And as far as it working with those, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. As long as you're getting, all your signals back here to your 7-way, this should be able to tee right in and work how it's designed to. I talked about this thing being wireless and just figured we show you how it works. So one of the really cool things with it being wireless, at least in my opinion, is now on these late model cars, there's a lot of stuff going on the dashboard. You got screens and buttons and all this stuff everywhere, and you really don't want to have to drill into your dash and mount up a traditional style brake controller. At least I don't, And so something like this, is really beneficial to be able to use to avoid having to drill into the dash. And so the way this is going to work, once you're all set up and everything back there and hooked up to your trailer, you're going to download an app and onto your mobile device. I'm using this tablet here. The majority of you are probably going to use your cell phone, right? Because that's always going to be in your pocket. But I just grabbed this, that way it's a little bit bigger, kind of see a little bit better and what's going on with it. But again, it'll connect with all those late model mobile devices, all the typical stuff out there. From there, it's really straightforward. You can make your adjustments and everything else like that and do a whole bunch of different things. Once you download that app, you'll connect to your brake controller using Bluetooth, and it's just like anything else. I feel like the majority of us have probably gone through that. It prompts you to do a couple of things, and then it pulls you up. So you'll have several different profiles that you can select through. So if you have multiple different trailers, and you can set them up differently and just change profiles real quick. So you do have a couple of adjustments here, maximum output and your sensitivity adjustment. That's something you could set up initially once you hook up to your trailer, or if you change the load. So all the max output is that's going to be the amount of power available to the brakes. So if you feel like it's not stopping hard enough, you can crank that up a little bit. If it's dragging, or the brakes are really getting too much power, you can turn it down a little bit. And there's really no right or wrong, as long as you set it up to how you feel comfortable towing, and you're getting proper braking. That's just kind of the way it is, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. And then there's sensitivity adjustment. That just more or less changes the aggressiveness, or how hard the brakes will come on, and things like that. So again, you can kind of fine tune it, dial it up or dial it down a little bit to really find your particular liking as far as what how you like to tow. And then you have your vehicle hazard lights. So there's if you turn those on, so say if you're on the shoulder or something, whatever the case may be, if your hazards are on, you can turn that on. That way your brakes won't apply, whenever you're pulled off to the side of the road, because you really don't need your trailer brakes on. So that's what you can do there. This particular brake controller is going to work for trailers that have 1 to 4 axles, so that pretty much covers everything, right? And it's going to be a proportional type brake controller. And that's usually what I recommend in just about every scenario. What proportional means is however hard you apply the brakes in here, the trailer brakes are going to match that. So you're going to get a lot smoother stopping experience. You're going to be stopping more as a complete unit, and the trailer's not going to be fighting you, or the vehicle fighting the trailer, if that makes sense. So kind of give you an example on how that works. Let's say if we're just cruising down the road, and hitting a stoplight or a stop sign up ahead, and just kind of coast down, maybe halfway on the brake pedal, something like that. Trailer's going to do the same thing. On the other hand, if you're going down the highway and up to speed, there might be an accident up ahead or some type of emergency situation, and you really have to stand on that brake pedal, the trailer's going to respond the same way. Overall, it just makes your towing experience a little more predictable when it comes to slowing yourself down. Moving back to our screen here, it is going to give us some information. So for example, when you hit the brakes and the brakes are being applied on the trailer, it'll kind of have a ring that'll go around and tell you the power level of it, so you can kind of see what's happening, which is pretty cool to be able to keep an eye on things and have kind of a gauge, if you will. And there's also this big orange button here. If you hit that, that's going to be the manual override button. Okay, so when you hit this, that's going to apply just the trailer brakes, and you would use that in the event of a sway situation. So especially like bigger boxier campers and things like that, you're going on the highway hitting bumps, they start kind of swaying and getting away from you. You can hit this and apply it and kind of slow it down and get it back behind your vehicle there. One of the things though, that when Curt started doing these wireless type things, what a lot of people were concerned with, myself included, is what happens if you become disconnected, right? If your phone dies, if the Bluetooth, goes haywire, if whatever happens, to not be able to stay connected to the brake controller. And they thought that through. So whatever settings you have it on, initially, say if this did die right now, it's not like our brake controller wouldn't work anymore. It's just going to remember those last saved settings and go with them. So not a huge deal. You're not going to be able to make your adjustments or whatever, but everything will still work until you can get to a charger or pull off the side of the road and reconnect or whatever happens, So you don't have to worry about losing your braking power if something like this were to happen. And something else, so I showed you this override button. Well, what happens if your kid has the phone, or on your road trip, or you can't get to it fast enough, you don't like, how you have to touch a screen. They actually made a wireless button too, and I've played around with it before and it works really well. It's maybe about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bigger, a little thicker than that, but it just sticks on to your dash or anywhere where you want to put it. It'll link up with this, and then that'll give you an actual button that you can push as well. You can use the button and this, whatever one you see comfortable with. So if the button is something that kind of intrigues you, that's something you can always grab right here at eTrailer. This thing is also going to pop up warnings to let us know if anything is going wrong. So for example, if your turn signals, your tail lights, stuff like that isn't working properly, it'll pop up on the screen letting you know, as well as if the trailer comes disconnected. It'll pop up and kind of let you know what's going on. So I'm not going to take apart our tail lights or anything to show you that, but we can unplug it real quick and give you an idea on what it looks like on the screen. So I'll go ahead, walk back here and get it unplugged. I'm going to remove the 7-way from our vehicle now, and we'll see that warning pop up letting us know what's going on. One of the really great things about this setup is how easy it is to install, and it's going to be the same for pretty much every vehicle out there, but being that this is my personal vehicle, why don't we just check out how we did ours. Underneath the truck here, this is the brake controller, and I just mounted it up to the frame rail here, and they give you zip ties. That's what I use, and it's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. They give you sticky tape and self-tapping screws, so several different ways to mount this up, and it really doesn't take much, honestly. Well, once you have that done, you're gonna have your wiring harness. The one end is just gonna plug right into it there. The other end of the harness is just a T-connector. So you come up to your existing 7-way, pull that out. That will plug into one side of the T there. And the other one just goes into the back of the connector plug. That's really all there is to it. After that, you can come back with some zip ties and kind of clean everything up and get it all secured. And in just a few minutes, you can have this set up back here. And that's going to hold true for just about any vehicle that you can use this with. And so that's pretty cool. If you end up selling your vehicle in the future, it's not that big of a deal. You can take this off and hold on to it and be able to put it on your next vehicle. That way you don't have to end up buying a whole new brake controller again. Other than that, at the end of the day, a really neat brake controller. I really like how they're using this wireless technology and applying it to these types of things. It's really came a long way, and a lot of people are showing more confidence in it. I know I am. Stuff just, it works now. I remember years ago where it'd be kind of spotty or hit and miss, and that's just not the case with these types of things anymore. As long as they're well thought out and well built, which something like this is, not going to really run into any issues with it, and they have a few different types of products too. So this is one style of it. I kind of talked about the other one earlier. So it's just the Echo that plugs into the back of the 7-way, and then your trailer connector plugs into that. And I believe they also have an under dash one as well that'll plug up under the dash into a factory type connector. So depending on your vehicle and how you plan on using it and kind of just your preferences, there's gonna be a wireless type option available for you. And that'll finish up our look at of the Curt Echo inline wireless trailer brake controller.